to them, right? So some of the projects just lacked creativity. However, we saw a lot of projects that had ingenuity, that were very genuine, and had the out-of-the-box thinking. So altogether, I would just say maybe we think of it from a perspective of root cause. People that ask you to give them a roof, right? You ask, why don't you already have a roof? Is it because you don't have the money for a roof? Is it because when the wind blows, it always blows away the roof that already exists? Or do they have a tree there that the branch always falls and breaks the roof? So some of the times we always have to ask more questions to always find out why. We want a book. Why don't you already have a book? If you say you're a school, right? Because a school should have books. Is it because you can't afford to buy the books? So I would just say a lot of the other times, let's just learn to ask, another why and why. Thank you.
Good point here. Yeah, 5. They say there's something called the 5 why principle. For everything you have, ask why 5 times. Why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? Why is it because of this? Why? And you get to the root cause. Let's listen to Mr. Lamdi all the way from his seat. Do you want to share more about your observations from the project?
Yeah, good morning again, guys. Again, super excited about all the projects that you did. I don't know if your hands are not tired now, but you can clap for yourself once again. Generally, I think that this has been a great start of something that I think we can build up on. My experience, I've overseen projects, community projects done by different groups of people. I've had a case where young people in secondary school, in SS1, more like Form 4, Form 5, implement projects in their communities. And one of the questions I kept asking myself is, what makes your project different? What is the difference in the fact that these are young people who have some level of exposure, some access to information, schooling in a world-class university, have access to a plethora of facilitators as well as, mentors and resources across. And my question is, what really is the value of all of that in the projects that you did? And that's like a question that I'm still asking, particularly in how very innovative, your projects were. So definitely in terms of, the impression and the heart to do good, definitely I celebrate that. But going back to the question of, if the goal really is to transform these communities, despite the fact that resources are limited, I am studying pharmacy, I'm studying communication, I am doing this, I have this talent. How did all of that come to bear in the way your projects were implemented? That's the first thing. The second is, again, I struggled, and maybe this also was coming from the perspective of there was a requirement to do the project, but I struggled to see a lot of driving of ownership. For example, that question of people not being appreciative, for me, it's a slap on the face, right? It's like saying I give you a meal, and because the meal lacks meat, you throw it back to my face, then you are not really hungry. If you get what I'm trying to say. Right. So the question really is, what communication went in that process? What engagement went in that process? And really, were we doing this project just so that, we would not have to repeat TLT or our stipends can be paid and all of that? And those things can happen. I'm not saying there may be you may have justifications for that. But I think that, like a story I was sharing with the New Scholars a couple of days ago, what you could be doing again is, instead of solving a problem, you are creating a bigger problem, which is an entitlement mentality. Lastly, I'm going to share my experience. So while you may see us seated on this room and it looks like we just come all the way every year to just speak to you and force you to do community change project, and sometimes while you are sending the proposals, you're just sitting online and just providing feedback, and we don't have an understanding of what it is on the ground. I'm actually here this morning to kind of disabuse your mind of that. My experience or my journey into community development projects was in an organization called Enactors. And I was saying to, Adeyemi and the rest of the facilitators, the first thing is this: we don't get funding for any project we implement. If you know anyone or if you've been a part of Enactors, you can attest to what I'm saying. You design the project yourself, you raise the funding for the project yourself, you implement the project yourself, no supervision, no back and forth proposal, nothing like that happens. But let me tell you the craziest part of it. For you to compete after you have made this impact, you have to pay a participation fee. Yes, you have to pay a participation fee. And guess what? I was an undergraduate, and we raised the money to do these things. And definitely, it was so terrible that it was only the winner that gets everything, unlike in SCARP, where, the winner, there's a first, there's a second, there's a third. No, that wasn't the case. The winner takes everything home. And what do they even take home, really? An opportunity to represent the country at the World Cup, which is the global competition. What am I saying? One of the taglines we had then, and that I believe the organization still has, is that when we compete to impact lives, we all win. So the question really is, at the core of what you're doing, and yes, this might have been an activity within a program, is there really a commitment to impact life? I like to always say, remember where you're coming from. Remember the communities you represent. Remember the fact that some of us are outliers in our communities, in our families. And if you recognize that the privileges that you have today, they are responsibilities to, support the lives of others, will you think a bit more creative about it? Would you approach it from not just being a tick box exercise? Will you see it as something that, what else or what more can I do to ensure that this is more sustainable, scalable, and impactful? So I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
All right, and last but not least, Mr. Oje.
Thanks, guys. Crude passion, I could see crude passion. I could already see the crude passion even during the project ideation phase. And this is it. Once the foundation is flawed, no matter what you put on it, it will be flawed. And that's why some of us, I know someone had told me that, one of the groups said, they remembered I gave them lots of stress in approving what we approved. Yes. It's done projects. We've all done projects over decades. The work to be done is to get that proposal that is proof. And now we've come to visit your activities, your projects. Even there, we are now seeing some of us were also not open to the learning. You were quite defensive. When we're on those webinars, you are arguing. Well, what we did at the end was we let you still go with some alterations, some iteration. For example, did you start with the end in mind? Actually, this is how we achieve success. You think about that outcome, then you walk backwards. What did I do to achieve this? You will have recognized the fact that some of you said there was this entitlement mentality on the part of the community. How did you engage with them? Did you tell them you were from USI and you were coming to throw money at an issue? Did you get clarity with them? That's why we talk about stakeholder needs identification and stakeholders engagement. If you don't do it well, yes, it's true. They look at you like USIU student and maybe they have some gist about the money stipends you get, and they think they should get more. Someone suggested we give 100,000. I dare you, even if we gave you 200,000, you will soon discover, just like even the government will tell you, the money is never enough to solve the problem. The money we gave to you was supposed to drive critical and creative thinking, to solve a problem within a time. Some of you didn't have your projects approved because we told you based on what we knew. The breadth that you even had to execute couldn't do some of the beautiful things you wanted to do. You all wanted to probably just donate different things. Touch on this, touch on this, touch on this. Yes, the community tells you they have 10 different problems. You manage expectation. You don't come in and promise them bread and butter when all you have is just some grains. So you start on the same level. So there is no level of disappointment. But because sometimes you just want to get with the activity. Why isn't BSM just approving this? We said someone spoke about somebody just saying they want a TV. A TV to what end? We told you about asking the why. We went to a project yesterday that was donated by the UN and maybe Samsung. Even people like that. And someone said they did do something, but there was no sustainability plan. And you know what? Those guys did a one-off and they got out of it. What we were trying to tell you and why it seemed as if, why are they telling us to go back and forth? Do something little that can stand the test of time. Don't want to do something so grand. Guys, some of the projects you did, in some communities we saw, all you needed to do was behavioral change communication. Not, we have money, we want to buy. And I asked a couple of the groups, did you even drive any push for partnering strategy? Your partnering approach. Did you write a letter to one person? No. Why? We had 47,000 shillings. And we bought. Was that what we told you in class? Some others couldn't even ask for a discount. Look, if you don't reorientate your minds, you can't give what you don't have. And that's why, while you guys have done a great job, think about how to deepen your partnering strategy. Even the type of jobs we've done, you never have enough money. You need to build goodwill. It is there. If you don't push for it, you won't get it. If you don't ask, you won't be given. If you go to somebody who sells clippers here and is a major clipper importer in Kenya, and you just go there and say, well, I only have 5,000 shillings and I'm buying just 2, but they need 15. Why didn't you get them on board? Why didn't you sell that vision to them? But you just went there as USIU students and you dropped 5,000 shillings, picked up 2 pieces of stuff, then you went back to the community, and the 2 is not enough to achieve any meaningful change within any period that you've even proposed to us. It's because your ideation was flawed. Some of you did a farm somewhere. How long will this farm run for it to be sustainable? Even when you have some type of sustainability plan, but you just thought about the 3 months and you said because that's what your money can sort. Why start what you can't finish? And that's why we don't approve certain projects. But it's offensive to you. You want to hit the ground running. You want to do. It's the same reason why even with government, they start what they can't finish. They do projects that 6 months down the line, they are nowhere to be seen. So guys, what I also suggested, let's try and, during those webinars, during our in-class session, listen to those same fine details we're talking about. You be the change. You can convince community. Most of the communities we've been to, look, they are underserved. They don't know better. Our expectation is that you guys are scholars. Even in terms of changing stereotypes, you should be able to drive that. Don't just go there and ask a question or just say, we got there and we saw the roof was. You can say, would you guys mind if we bought you a roof? Thank you. And that's not what we're telling you to do. Change comes with some work. And if you give it the time and the diligence required, with the support you have around, you get better results for what we're doing, guys. And I think it's possible. But for a start, we think you guys have given it the effort. We can see the passion, but there's a lot we can do more. And we are there to support you to do it.
All right. If you want to clap. All right? Yeah. So did you find all this information useful? Yes. Did you see the points from this information? All right. And we've taken your feedback as well in terms of what we can do as facilitators. We as a gentleman, really good. If you feel you have more feedback for us, also let us know, because this is a safe space. We want to learn from you, and we also want you to learn from us. But all the points I've shared, please take note of them. Partner with people. We could have seen better. You partner with your classmates in school, bringing them on board. Doing an awareness campaign in school, you see, not just that will give you money and you just want to go blow the money. All right, but having all said that, well done. Tell the person close to you and say, well done. Well done. Shake that person. Somebody is sleeping there. Shake that person and say, well done.
Well done.
Whether you did the project or not, well done. I'm saying, nudge the person sitting close to you and say, well done. Whether you did the project or not, well done. Whether you came for a meeting or you didn't come for a meeting, well done. All right, thank you very much. One more time, put your hands together for our facilitators that go back to their seats. All right, so we'll go for a break now, and when we'll come back, we'll have the last session, 1 hour before you leave. I just want to say, if you want to volunteer as a mentor, all right, for the next cohort, please just drop your name with the gentleman there wearing white shirts, Nifemi. All right, if you want to volunteer as a mentor. Now, what am I saying? Based on all these things we've learned, based on the learnings you have now, based on the impact you have now, if you want to be a mentor, please drop your name with them. Don't worry, we'll give you a certificate of participation as a mentor, and also encourage you as much as we can. We don't have any monetary gift for you, but we have other things that you could leverage for your future career aspirations. So drop your name with Nifemi and be back if you want to be a mentor to the next cohort. We have about 16 groups. Or is it 20 groups we have? We have 16 groups in the next batch, but if we can have 16 or 32 mentors, that'll be fine. What's your role as mentors is that once in a while, they just come and meet you in school, and you give them feedback on their projects, and once in a while, and it's not every day, maybe once in a week or twice in a month, as much as you can, just to handle them to where we want them to be. Tea break is at the business school, School of Business. When you have your tea break, get it, and let's be here back at 12 o'clock. All right, so we're here seated by 12 for the last session, so that we'll close early enough. Can we do that? Can we do that? All right, thank you very much, and see you at 12. Yeah, and if I took your phones, come and get it there.